So we're talking about PHP, and PHP is a interpreter that fits nicely into HTML code and HTML syntax. You can be in the process of writing HTML code and simply insert or inject PHP code right in there and then continue writing HTML code. PHP can access your file system, database, mail, obviously communicates with the web server, and then interacts with the client. And the client doesn't know what's what, obviously. The client is not aware that the code is written in PHP or what's happening in the background. PHP syntax, in the simplest of terms, looks like this. There's HTML in the, up on top there. You see the header, and it says just PHP test, and there's HTML body, and then right in there is that PHP syntax that echoes hello world. And then you end the body and the HTML tags. Here's another one where you have a function, a PHP function that displays the date or the time right now. Okay, that's using the date function and passing a parameter to it, which will display the time for. So let me just, here is how you combine a date, for example, and along with a particular, whatever you want to say. In this case, it says current date and time. Now what I have is I have a Linux box, specifically or namely. I have a CentOS Linux that I have installed. So I basically created a very simple page. There's HTML in the syntax right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to elaborate on this. I'm going to go to first PHP, HTML. Oh, I'm just going to do a PHP. And I'm going to go further down over here. Now, right inside of this syntax, right inside of this syntax, I can insert PHP. So I could do this. I could say PHP, this question mark PHP, and I'm going to print I am playing with PHP, like so. And I can close this out, and I can close out my tag here, my PHP tag, right? Just like so. And so this is HTML syntax over here. Oops. This is HTML syntax right over here. This is HTML syntax. But this is PHP. I'm going to save this. I'm going to write this out. And like so. Go over here and do a refresh. There you go. I'm playing with PHP. Right there. Okay. So this is presented by HTML, but this is presented by PHP. I'll go over to my code right here, and I can just as easily do this right in this code. If I put in a H1 and I end it with a H1, end it with an H1, and I write this out. I go over here and I do a refresh. There it is. Look. And what happened here is that it is opening up the H1 tag, displaying, well, whatever PHP wants to display, and then ending the H1 tag. Very, very simply, I'm able to take a look at, the PHP code as it is combined with HTML code. If I take a look at a few other things, now PHP allows me to place comments in my code as well, as you might imagine. Any other language does, and the 2 slashes. This is a comment line. This is also a line that is ignored. And if I save this, go over here, do a refresh, there's a comment line that is listed. Now, if you notice in here, the reason this is shown right now is because I have this inside of HTML code. This is HTML, HTML. Comment lines for HTML are not the same as comment lines for PHP. So if I take these lines right here, let me exit out of here. And I'm going to do gedit. Go even, there you go. Gedit, for those of you guys that don't know, is just like Notepad in Windows. So here's my PHP, middle of the PHP code, end PHP code, and my comments. Save this file. Go over to Firefox, like so, and do a refresh. And notice how my comments are not showing. Right? And the reason the comments aren't showing is because they are inside of the PHP syntax. And PHP interpreter basically says, I know how to interpret these lines. I'm just going to, ignore them because they're slashes. Now, if I have multi-line, comments, I can do this. I'm going to place a semicolon here. Now, this semicolon right there signifies really the end of my PHP code. I'm going to end my PHP line of my PHP code right there at the end. I'm going to take this semicolon out, and here I'm going to put in a multi-line comment. This is the beginning of a multi-line comment in PHP. I'm going to end that. There you go. And I'm going to save this, refresh this. Of course, nothing changes, as you can see. So the start and beginning of a PHP code has to do with that less than question mark greater than, that ends the PHP syntax in the middle. Now, PHP doesn't really care if I write all this stuff, right? Or if I write it simply, let me get out of this. I'm just going to put in H2 tag. It's a little bit smaller. And I'm going to end the H2 tag. And right in the middle here, I'm going to put in print. I am also learning PHP, like so, and close this out. And then I put in a semicolon, like so, and I open my PHP syntax like so, and I'm going to put in a bunch of blank spaces and close out my PHP line of code right here. In multiple lines just like this, these blank lines right here are simply ignored by PHP. PHP doesn't care. Refresh. All right. Go over here. And now that right there, there you go. That right there, save this, go back over here, do a refresh there. I'm also learning PHP. Now that right there, I can also write this in a single line. So I'll take all the spaces out and write the whole code in a single line. Oops. Write the whole code in a single line, just like so. PHP doesn't care. All those blank spaces don't really mean anything to it. They result in the same thing. Taking this a step further, I'm going to show you how we can create some variables in PHP code. So right in here, I can say, let me go over to preferences. Let me go over to the editor font. Let me go over to a larger font so you guys can see better, because right now it's probably kind of small. Click OK, click close. There we go. Probably a little bit easier to see. Oops. Click. Make this a little bit bigger. All right. So I'm going to create some variables here inside of my PHP code. I'm going to create variables. Now, variables in PHP start with a $. So I'm going to say $, first name, Rafiq, and put in a semicolon to end my statement. Okay? And right in here, I can say $, first name. Save this thing. So this is going to display the first name, which is this variable right here, and say that it should say Rafiq is also learning PHP. Go right here and do a refresh. There you go right there. Rafiq is also learning PHP. Okay, so that's variable. That's the insertion of the variable, which means that if you want to display a $sign as part of your code, you have to put it in an escape character like a / character and put in the escape character followed by the $sign or a quote or something like it. Let's do something else. Let's do something else. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create something simple here. Let me get out of this, and I'm going to create a brand new form, a brand new document, and I'm going to save this as my first form and .php, and I'm going to put in HTML, and then I'm going to put in header, and then I'm going to put in title. I'm going to put in my first form, all right? And I'm going to end the title. This is all HTML so far, and I'm going to begin my body, and I'm going to do a form action your name is what? I was going to say your name PHP, and I'm going to say method is post, and I'm going to do my name is, and I'm going to say break. This is all so far just HTML code. Input type is text. Name is my name, like so. And then I'm going to say your favorite color is oops, put in a break, and I'm going to do input type is text, and I'm going to name this thing favorite color, like so, and then I'm going to put in input type. This is all so far. Do submit, name, submit, value, and I'm going to say default value. I'm just going to say it really, and this is going to be the end of my form. All right, and I'm going to make it the end of my body, like so, and I'm going to make it the end of my HTML, and I'm going to save this. Okay, so I just save this, and this is first form.8.php. And what's going to happen is when we submit this, the action that this form is going to take is it's going to look for your name.php file. Okay. So I'm going to open up a brand new one, and I'm going to save this as your name.php. Right there, your name.php. There it is. And what I'm going to do with this here is I'm going to say HTML, head, title, your name, title. And here I'm going to end the header, and I'm going to insert some PHP code. I'm going to insert PHP, and I'm going to say, this is what I do always. I start it and I end it, so I know I won't forget, because that's happened a few times. And I write my PHP code in the middle. So I'm going to say your name equals, and I'm going to request from the page, from the session, your name. Okay, this is from the session. All right. And if I go back over here, it's actually my name, not your name. My name. It's right there. Right there. Yeah, I'm requesting that from the session. And I'm going to request my FC, or my favorite color. Request my favorite color. Okay. Go back over here, favorite color. And favorite. This is Linux, case sensitivity. All right. So then I'm going to say hello, PHP. Actually, I'm going to leave that alone. I'm just going to say hello. Your name. Print. Your favorite color is FC. Save this. So there is the your name var that I'm requesting from the session, the $_ request, requested from the session, and the $_ requests a favorite color var from the session. Right. Now go over here, and the form was first form.php, first form.php. Okay. And then, okay, hi, hello, Rafiq. Your favorite color is blue. Did everybody see what happened? I went to a different form and I requested these pieces of information on a different form. As long as I was in the same session, or I am in the same session, everything worked, without any real issues. So that's the var. Okay, that's the var that I'm getting. And the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some more things here associated with PHP. Let me create a new file. And what I want to do now is I want to show you some arrays. So let me do sample array PHP. Save this thing. And I'm going to do HTML, do body, PHP, and the PHP, and right in here, I'm going to do $animals, and I'm going to do equals array, and I'm going to do dog, cat, maybe mouse is not a good option, but okay. And in here, I can then say print animals and print me the third element in the array. Number 2 is the third element. Dog is 0, cat is 1, mouse is 2. Okay. Go over here, and my body, and my HTML. Go over here and save it. Go back here, and take a look at my sample array. Okay, and it displays mouse. And the reason it displays mouse is because mouse is number 2. The dog is 0, cat's 1, mouse is 2. Change this to a 1, save this, go over here, do a refresh, and now I get a cat because cat is the second element in the array. 1, it's a base 0 array, if you will. Let's go a little bit more and change the way I did this. I'm going to take this array line out, and I'm going to go, I'm going to say animals. Come on. Say animals, and I'm going to say the array of animals. That those brackets mean I don't know how big the array is going to be. But I'm going to start it this way. I'm going to say that it's going to have a dog in it. I'm going to say, oh, wait a minute, I got some more, and I'm going to say animals. I don't know how big it's going to be, but I want you to add cat in here. Oh, wait, I got another one. Animals. I don't know how many more I'm going to add. I want you to add, a mouse in here. Same deal. I've got, 3 elements. 0 is the dog, 1 is the cat, and 2 is the mouse. Save it, go over here, do a refresh, and I get a cat because cat is the second element, or signified by number 1. Let's go further down here, further along our little path of arrays, and we can go even further with these arrays. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to describe these things. Let me close out of this here. And I'm going to say my animals array. I'm going to say that the name of the animal is going to be Sparky. And the description of the animal is going to be, bulldog. I don't know. And the color of the animal is going to be black. And I'm going to say that the age of the animal will be 5, let's say. Right? And I'm going to close the animal, this description about this particular animal. Go to animals right over here. And I'm going to say, I got to print this thing. I'm going to say that I want to print the description of the animal. Go back here, do a refresh, and I see description prints as a bulldog. Let me go back up here, and and get out H1, PHP, and do that. And to be clean, close that, and to be clean, do that, and save it. And the H1, go back over here and do a refresh, and you see the big bulldog shows up. I took this PHP code in a separate PHP block, as you can see. Are commas required? Right over here? Yes, they are. These commas are required. So I basically took the PHP code, and then I got out of it right over here. I opened up a brand new HTML tag. I continued PHP and referenced the array element that I have up here. Right? And then I'm good to go. Let me take this one step further, because you can have other ways of accomplishing this. Okay? You could do this. You could say Jane dog color, like that, and you can say equals brown, like that, and then you can say Jane dog name equals fluffy, right? Jane dog, description equals Yorkie, Jane dog, age equals, 3, like that. You can go further down over here. And here, I'm just going to say, print this thing. And right here, I'm going to say, print Jane dog, name. Refresh. I don't put a break in there. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. Oh, great. Just kill it, why don't I? Yeah, so I got to get out of PHP, put a break in the middle, or I have to do a next line in here. But anyway, I can get the description within PHP code, and within the PHP syntax, all I can have is PHP code, right? If I want to intermingle it, I can do it in the same file, but not within the same, not within the same code block, if you will. So here's Fluffy. Right? Let's go back here. The other thing that I want to show you is how I can have, multiples of these, if you will. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say animals, and there's that array there. And I'm going to open this whole thing in an array. So now I'm going to have an array within an array within an array. So right over here, I'm going to put a comma. Okay. And then I'm going to highlight this thing. Right. I'm going to highlight this thing. Paste it, paste it, paste it. And then I'm going to, at the very end, I'm going to end my array. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go further up, change a couple of these. So that's Sparky, and that's a bulldog. That's, how about Tom, who's a cat, right? And is a white cat, age 3. How about Jerry? You see where I'm going with this. Jerry is a mouse. All right, Jerry is our mouse, and is a gray mouse, at least I think. And I think Jerry is probably 100 years old by now. And I'm going to go over to last chance. How about that? Last chance, and it is a horse, right? And it is a our horse is red? I don't know. Age, I don't know, 7. Save that. So there's my array within an array. And what I'm going to do over here, I'm going to trash this thing. I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to say that I want to print this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, if I look further up over here, Sparky is 0, the first element of the array. Tom is 1. Jerry is 2. Okay, and last chance is 3. Okay, so if I go down over here, and they're all animals, I'm going to say animals. I'm going to say animals, and I'm going to say animals to give me the name. Okay, animals of 2, which means the third animal in my list. This is Sparky 0, Tom is 1, and Jerry is 2. So it should print me Jerry. It should print me Jerry. Save this thing. Oh, I got to close this out like that. Go over here, do a refresh, right? Oops, that's no good. Name animals 3. Want to make sure that I got this right. Beginning of it, end of it, and my animals array, and I end this one, I end this one, I end this one, I end this one, and there's no comma on the last one, and I stop it over here. Okay. And then I print, animals 3, and I should be able to get the name. Okay, so you can describe it just like so. Right. I don't, I remove, save it, and print it. There you go. All right. So there is Jerry. Go back over here, change this to a 1, change this to description, go over here, do a refresh, and it's a cat. Right? Change this to a 0 and display the color. Go back over here, do a refresh, and it's black. Go back over here, right? The color is black. Sparky is a bulldog with the color of black. Okay. So that is a multi-dimensional array, if you will. Okay. Let's take this a step further. When I was trying to do what I was trying to do earlier, right in here, I can do this. If I said print and put in the HTML code right here, just like that, it'll print a break in there, and then I can print, print animals 1 description, save it, go over here, do a refresh. Okay, notice the break now. This is actually HTML being inserted in here. That's how easy it is. Let me take this a step further. And I'm going to go over here, save this as decide. Can you do no, Nicholas. I would actually have to put that on 2 lines as 2 separate elements, or I would have to concatenate it, one or the other. I see what you're trying to do, though. You basically meant to say, can you be a lazy programmer, right? Of course. All right, so I'm going to do a decide PHP. Yeah, so I'm going to do a decide PHP. Let me just put in HTML, put in a body, and the body and the HTML. Save this. And right in here, I'm going to open up my PHP and end my PHP. Go right in here. And here what I'm going to do is something simple. I'm going to say my favorite color is yellow. And then I can say if my favorite color equals, yes, those 2 equal signs. The 2 equal signs are a way to say test. Test to see if that condition is true. Okay? The 1 equal sign is an assignment. 2 equal signs is a test. Okay. And then I can put in my code, print, I like the color yellow. Like so. Save this thing. And go over here, and decide PHP. There it is. I like the color yellow. I want to make this thing bigger, I just do print h1 like that, and then end the h1 right afterwards. Oop. Save that. Go over here, do a refresh, just like that. Okay. Let's make this even more interesting. We're going to say else, like so. Print you don't like yellow, like so. And these curly braces and the spaces that I'm using are really for nothing more than clarity when I'm reading it. That's all. I'm going to change my favorite color to blue. Go over here and do a refresh. Notice it says you don't like yellow. Now, why did this appear much smaller? Well, because I did not place this around these tags. Save this, go back over here. Display, and end this tag like that. Display nice and big. Save this. Say, oops. Refresh. There you go. So what this did is I assigned a var called favorite color, and I assigned it a value of blue. I then evaluated the condition. If favorite color equals is the test, is yellow, then display this line. If it's not yellow, if it's anything else other than yellow, display that. Let's take this even further. Okay. We're going to say else if. Okay. Else if. I'm going to say favorite color is blue, like that. Say, let me put in I'm going to say, so you like the color blue. And go over here and do a refresh. Bling. Okay. So now I've got an if statement that evaluates. Well, first I create a var called favorite color, put blue in there. And I say, is it yellow? Then do this. If it's blue, then do that. And it did. It says, so you like the color blue, right up there. Otherwise, say, so you don't like yellow. I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to change this to green. So you don't like blue or yellow. Go over here, do a refresh. Okay. So it's doing it's not yellow. It is not blue. So it displays the else statement. So let's do something else. One more little thing. We're going to do a very simple loop. HTML. Like so. Body. And body. HTML. Now I'm going to save this as looper PHP. And right in here, I'm going to do PHP like so. Okay, so I'm going to create a var, say counter, give it a value of 1. Then I'm going to say while the counter is less than or equal to 1, well, maybe 10. Less than or equal to 10. I want you to print the value in the counter, then I want you to increment the counter by 1. Okay, so this is counter equals counter plus 1, and this is going to display the counter. And I'm going to say the counter is, say this, go over here, change this to say, maybe I should put a break in between there, huh? Let's fix that. Do a print, br, bing, and put in a break here, put in a h2 tag here, and put in the ending of an h2 tag here. Go back and do a refresh. Look at that. Current value of the counter is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And there is a very simple while loop. Okay. Very simple while loop. I can also give you another example of a function. Let's do sample function, PHP. And I'm going to go over here. I'm going to highlight this whole thing. Save this. Go over here and paste it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say within PHP, I'm going to say function counter. I'm going to say count to 10. Okay, that's the name of my function. And I'm going to open the braces. And I'm going to close the braces. Okay. So I just made this whole counter. Let me move this over, because it becomes easier to read when you do that. Okay, I just made this whole counter one big function, and I call the function count to 10. The benefit of creating a function is so that you can use it over and over and over again. Okay? So I'm going to go down over here, and I'm going to call this function. I'm going to say count to 10, just like that. And you have to put in those open and close parentheses to call a function. Now, when I call sample function.php, I'm expecting the same thing to happen. Sample function, end my code, end my function, end my loop. Something weird's happening. Anyway, something weird's happening, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. But this is just create. Oh, I know why. That. All that happened was I had a semicolon at the end of this name of the function, which PHP interpreted as the end of statement. Okay? Take that out, do a refresh, and it does what it's supposed to do. It just counts. So this is the creation of a function. This is creating, well, a simple loop. This is using a if-else, end-if statement. This is the creation and usage of an array. This is creating a form, a very basic form that posts to or takes you to a different form, in this case right here, and it displays the data coming off of the request from the same session. So you saw very basically how you can read requests coming off of different pages within the same session. So hopefully you got a little flavor of what it's like to work with PHP.